All right, I think now everybody can hear me, hopefully at the right volume, unlike the beginning of last show. We are sorry for that. We've heard some feedback regarding that, so we're trying to get it right. What's up, Seth? How's your
Hey
voice? Let's
man,
hear you.
good
Let's
to
hear
see
you.
you. Yeah. Good to see
One,
you. You
two,
hear me
one,
good?
two. Yes, 1 2 1 2.
All
Good, good,
right,
good.
here we go.
All right. All right. Everybody, welcome. Welcome to the Great Transition. If you are here for the first time, um, Seth, what what are we doing here?
Well,
What are
we're
we
going
doing
through a
here?
great transition us off, and
All right.
everybody knows, everybody can see. We started a little show when we went into quarantine, and and then realized this is going to be much bigger than just a quarantine. We're going through, humanity is going through a massive, massive change. I guess you could say humanity has always gone through changes. This one is going to be pretty significant as we literally change who we are as a species. Literally change our perception of reality. I guess if you were an ant and you perceived Earth, you perceived life, and you were a human and you perceived life, it would seem like a different life. That's kind of what we're talking about here. We're talking about
Hmm.
a totally different way of perceiving reality, and in fact, life itself taking on a completely different meaning. So we're gonna touch on some things that are happening in the world. Zoom in, touch on the Earth, some things happen in the world, and then zoom out and look at these things from what kind of perspective? What kind of perspective are we in?
A bird's eye view, a connected view. I would say that we are. First of all, great, great intro, man. Yeah, you see, you're getting into the hang of doing these intros. I
Yeah, how
would.
did you back into that corner right there?
I don't know. I don't know. It just felt right. I feel like adding that. What we're trying to do here, folks, is as opposed to commentary. Everyone give their commentary today. Everyone has a podcast, and they say, "Here is what I think." We are here not just to give commentary. We are here to create a space, an environment where we truly do aim to promote this message of unity above all differences. See, at the end of the day, beyond all the politics and religion and culture and whatever it is that makes us different, and we should be different. We're not in favor of canceling any differences, but we're in favor of finding, looking through a unique prism that enables us to find that common humanity that we all share. We're all created by nature. We're all pushed forward by evolution to some state that's more advanced. And we want to say this next future state is more connected. And that's where we're going. And in terms of laws of nature, there's no differences between us. So that's really what we want to do here. We want to try to see that in front of our eyes through whatever topic we discuss. So, um, yeah, man. You know that I want to talk about something crazy that happened here in. It shocked the country here. Can I just go? You want me? You wanna? You
Go
wanna?
for it. Go
Yeah.
for it. No, no, go.
Okay. Okay. So look, there's this horrible, horrible thing that happened. I can't remember exact last week, sometime last week. Like it's still hot here. It was all around social media in Israel, of course, in the news, and the television. There, all of the shows they're talking about it. It really took a lot of people, shook a lot of people. What happened was domestic violence, but not just like another case. This one was more extreme, more horrifying because of the context, because of the who the people were. This is a couple who the wife was a like a marriage consultant, right? Like a relationship consultant, marriage counselor, however you call that. And the husband was a is a cop. 4 kids. He They have a fight in the house. and the husband takes his gun and shoots his wife, kills her, while the four kids are in the house, and specifically horrible. And because these people are so normative people, this is a case that is such a so unexpected, so unpredictable, that this is really what is shaking uh, the public here. That you really don't know where such a thing can erupt from, and I wanted us to just kind of see if we can make sense of this a little bit, because so many people are now thinking about that. And look, it's not maybe the most you know happy thing to talk about, obviously, but I think we need to try to kind of help people come to grips with this. In general, domestic violence is a huge thing in the Western world. I followed some of the numbers, just because it also had to do years ago when I did my master's degree. So a lot of it is sociology. The So one of the things you can see clearly is if you look at rates of domestic violence. This is a growing trend. It's a lethal epidemic. It's growing it looks like a growth of epidemic while we are dealing with COVID. This is going on. It's not that it's a very insidious disease. It's a cultural disease. If you look at your country, there's I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like 1 in 3 women is being murdered by their partner every day, something like that.
Wait.
Th-
What?
this yeah, yeah, something.
One
I
in
maybe
three
Chris,
women is
maybe Chris. No, no, no. I
What
think
are you
it's
talking
more.
about?
So sorry. 1 in 3 is 1 in 3 women is a victim of some violence. 3 murders are 3 women are murdered every day, I think, by their
God.
partners in the U.S. There's all kinds of statistics here. It's not just women. You'll be surprised. There's domestic violence, um, even against elderly people. It's mostly, in most cases, when the researchers go and try to figure out the data and what's happening and all that. Most of these stories are it's the people who are the closest to those people who are taking advantage of them, just like the case is between partners, right? Maybe there you go. Six. This is the statistic I remember, and you see, I vaguely remember them because it was many years ago. This was way before COVID. Maybe now COVID is even exacerbating this situation. Let's see. Chris, what did you find? Domestic violence. Nearly 3 U.S. women killed every day by intimate partners. There you go. There you go. This is
Wow.
this is going on while we're talking about, while we have a biological virus that's killing uh that's killing a fraction of people. You have 1 in 3, you have 3 women killed every day. This is crazy. And again, I don't want I really think when you look at all the data, this is a spreading cultural kind of phenomenon. In Europe, you'll find similar numbers. In this case, okay, sorry, I went into a whole tangent on this, and I don't remember all of the numbers, but it's trust me, this is something that's been growing in the last 20 years, growing, clearly growing, looking at the reported cases. Now, this case that in Israel now is shaking the country is um, so much more hard to deal with, because the background, the classic background, that like the signs kind of weren't there. You know what I mean? So it really makes you wonder, what is it that makes a person completely lose their marbles like that, and commit such a, horrifying act. How does what's the mechanism here? This is something, because of the proportions of this, and because it's becoming more extreme, more unpredictable, and the numbers keep growing, so it's spreading broadly, and it's becoming more hard to predict. um, there needs to be like a broader, bigger way of looking at these things. Anyway, what do you make of this?
Um,
What do you think?
so I'll give you a little story about something that happened here also, and then we can open it up. So we've had snow, tons of snow in the Northeast for the last
Oh, right,
week,
your car. You had to tow your car or something. You sent a picture, right? When
yeah,
was that?
last before what's today?
T-
It's Thursday,
A
Sunday,
couple days ago, I
Sunday.
remember you sent an image a couple days ago, and since
I
like
my
we.
tire had a yeah, I had to change my tire in the snow. Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, all
But
right.
I made it to the show in time. Um, so yeah, we've had snow for I guess 2 weeks or something like that. So in Pennsylvania, nearby here, there was a couple who was had some dispute with their neighbor who lived across the street, and for whatever reason, I don't know all the backstory. They were taking their snow and like walking it across the street and putting it on their neighbor's lawn, their neighbor's driveway or something like that.
I don't
I
know
don't know.
the I don't know the details of this. So tell me again, who did it to who?
Okay, so there's a couple living in
Yeah.
one house on one side of the street, and they
Okay.
were shoveling, and you got a guy who happened to be 47, which is how old I am, living on the other side of the street, and he's
Right.
shoveling his driveway.
Okay. Each one
This
on his
couple,
side of the street. They're just
yeah, this
shoveling their
couple
stuff.
over
Okay. Mm-hmm.
this couple over here were for some reason like putting snow on his driveway or something like that. They got into a dispute,
Okay.
um, and they someone had like a Nest Cam or one of these like cameras that you can plug into
In
the
the
internet,
car.
and
In the
like in the house you can, I don't know where it was, you can hear
like a
all
security
of the
camera.
you can
You can
see and
hear it.
hear, you can hear the conversation. So the guy so I don't know the backstory. No, how would I know the backstory? But the guy from the couple says, I'm gonna, say it again or whatever. I'm gonna knock your head off. I'm gonna make your life miserable. I'm gonna, whatever.
Right.
You this, whatever.
Yeah.
So the guy across the street goes in his house. So the guy with his wife says to him, I'll knock your head off, whatever, threatens him.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy across the street, who, by the way, the guy who was my age, he was in the Navy. He had all kind of awards from the Navy. He was an engineer for 20 years, an environmental engineer. He got his bachelor's degree. He got his master's degree. He understood engineering. Engineering is basically like calculations. Like
Mm-hmm.
you should understand, and this is going to get to the point that we need to open up here. Like
Engineering
you should
is a profession
understand
for very rational people. Let's say
you
it's a
should
field for, yeah.
understand what the cost benefit
Oh,
analysis
I see where
of
you're
what's
going.
going
Yeah.
on
Mm-hmm.
is, right? So he goes inside, gets a pistol,
Oh
and
no.
comes outside with the pistol towards the couple. And the woman says something like, do it, just try it, just do it, shoot, whatever, shoot me, whatever she says to him, right? And she has her camera out. Normal person, that may, you don't think somebody's going to actually do it. So the guy starts firing his gun,
Oh
and he
no.
shoots, and then he shoots the husband, and then he goes, and they didn't die. Then he goes inside and gets his rifle, and he comes back
Oh
to them,
no.
and he goes to the husband, oh, you're gonna call me a whatever, he like, while they're on the ground, oh, you're gonna call me this, oh, you, and the wife said something back to him like you, and she boom, boom, boom. He shot
So
them
he
both.
he
He shot them
killed
with the pistol. They didn't die. They fell to the ground. He went
what?
inside, got his rifle, came back out, and then he was still like, oh, you're gonna call me a this, whatever. Boom. And then to yeah. So then
Wow.
he, yeah,
Wow.
then
That
he went.
sounds like a like a
By the way,
bad
it's not the first
movie.
murder. It's not the first murder over snow shoveling. I found out from doing a little Google searching, but
Hmm.
there's been others. But then he went inside and shot himself and killed himself. But the reason why I relate it to your story, and it's kind of
Oh
weird that it
man.
happened in the same week, is because clearly, like, these are people, a
These two,
policeman and a
yeah.
marriage counselor over there, right? And
Yeah.
like an engineer over snow shoveling, over here. There's something that's something very, very off, obviously. And there's not a real good cost benefit analysis of of like
Yeah.
uh, 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 these.
I'll tell you what, you see, I see Mancini says mental health issues. I don't know. He said a bunch of other things. I don't know exactly where what you meant, David, but see, I don't think so. This is what I don't think we can categorize.
You don't think it's just depression?
I don't think we can throw all these cases into a basket that we call mental health issue. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that if you look, it cannot be. I mean, okay, you can either say that
They're definitely not happy people.
all of you can say that all of these cases are there's a mental issue there that's going on, or you can say there is something that breeds these events. These events are result, as well as might be what might be the conditions that or that have to do with mental health, perhaps, that contributed to them. I don't think you can just throw all these people in a basket and call that, oh, they're deranged people. I don't think it doesn't. And this is what we're starting to see more and more with these cases. See a marriage counselor and a cop. It's not, it's hard to say that these are uh, you know people who just all the writings were on the wall, and it was just said. Or even with this situation you just described, it doesn't sound like we're talking about crazy people. This is what I'm trying to say. There is something more systemic that is happening here, that is turning people, probably even very normative people, very, like you said, an engineer, whatever, people, to um to putting it, kind of like pushing them until they snap. They
You know what this
snap.
reminds me of?
Yeah.
Remember we talked about, we had a personal conversation about relationships recently, and we were saying that this is kind of this modern myth that like you find your partner and you get in a relationship and it's like we're gonna live happily ever after. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
we found each other and like we just sail off into the sunset. But really, like, that's finding the person. That's day zero. That's day one.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, if that's not the end and now you just sail into the sunset, that's the beginning. And it's the same thing. It seems like the justice system, the criminal justice system, the education system, it's as if, when somebody does bad, like, how could you do that? Why did you do that bad
Mm-hmm.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as if we expect
Mm-hmm.
that people are born with good values, as if we expect that people are born knowing what's right and wrong. In fact, a person is born like a steak, like
Yeah.
like a piece of meat. It's like
Yeah, like being
the,
cooked, basically. That
you
that's
you
true.
you
That's
may
what you
you
mean. Yeah.
no, I mean like with no software installed on it. Like, you can have some,
Like
you may
raw.
know some things raw, unless you, and
I
then
I
you
thought you what
take
you meant, and then it's being cooked by its environment. It,
you
it's,
yeah, just a piece of meat, and
mm-hmm.
then its whole life, basically, you're filling it with violence, with prostitution, with drugs, with murder, with this, with tension, with stress, with poisonous food, with uncomfortable living conditions. And then you expect a person who how do you expect a person to do any, Chris, if it's possible, if you can find one of those videos of feral children, it's crazy, but you take a child and you raise
Right.
them with dogs, that child will be a dog,
Yeah, I've seen
right?
that. I've seen these things.
Yeah.
It's some of these
Oh,
are hard to watch.
very
hard
hard
to
to watch.
watch.
I think we
Yeah.
may have even talked about it in the show once before,
I
but
think it came
um,
up. Maybe it came up that it's a good example. It's something that really puts you in front of, oh, really? That's what I am. I didn't realize I was so
we
malleable. First
think
time you
that
see
we are
something like
something
that, yeah.
special.
We think that we
We,
are so in control of ourselves. We think that we are, that we de- make decisions based on our own kind of decision making processes and calculations and rationality. But you know what? Here's the thing: when the ego erupts, it trumps any rational calculation. Our That beast that we have within is stronger than whatever our intellect, like you said, that engineer could easily, you could make the calculation that, oh, it's not a
if I put too
beneficial
much
thing
pressure here, the
to do.
bridge is going to break.
Exactly, like, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. But you know what? Here's the thing: when the ego snaps, or erupts, or however you want to call it, there is no rational human being there. It's not existent. That's it. It's gone. It's just gone. And so we need to think about, when we think about the what is this? This is
Oh, Chris, if you can find there's videos if you can find the video.
oh, that's the feral children thing. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Chris, it's kind of
There's not really any videos, sorry.
oh,
okay.
hey, that's the first time we heard Chris's voice.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna open the mic if it's just unclear instead of being some random
All
guy.
right,
Okay.
Chris. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
hey,
Everybody.
what are you
This
guys
is
talking about?
No, okay. If you can find something great. The Here's the thing: when there's common sense, and there's how our ego works. When the ego erupts, it paralyzes the systems of our common sense. Our critical faculties go to sleep, just like that. So we need to be thinking about how we can sort of vaccinate. By the way, we just like we think about a vaccine against a virus, right? We need to think about how to vaccinate people to begin with. We need preventive culture to create a balancing effect, so that it will be powerful enough to cope with our ego that erupts during conflicts. Does that make sense? You know what I'm trying to say?
it's a person needs education basically
It's
from
yeah, it's
from
education, but it's coming at you from everywhere. It's coming at you from, okay, there's this famous Marshall McLuhan example that I really like. He was a media theorist, right? And he said, the last thing a fish would notice in its environment is the water, right? And we are just like the fish. We're constantly swimming in a certain kind of culture, and we don't even notice what that culture is doing to us. I think there is, and what you see, again, going back to, if you look at the development of Western culture from the 50s to today, what is that? 70 years. 70 years. How much has changed in our culture in those 70 years, right? In the 50s, 10% of the people, just as an example, I'm not putting all of the blame on this, but this is just an anecdote. In the 50s, 10% of the people had a TV in their house. Today, 99% of people have a TV in their homes, right? Now, we've changed the concept of home. If you think about domestic violence, what does domestic violence means? It means that violence, somehow, the kernel of violence, the seed of violence, has managed to take root in your home, which is supposed to be the one place, the one environment that is protected from bad influences, right? So with technology and which basically created channels of influence that go into your brain wherever you are, as if taken away. It's like, imagine you have no walls in your house. That's what's happening, information wise, content wise, culture wise. You have no walls, right? Your kid sits in a room, glued to a little screen. You might have no idea what is happening with it, and that's your kid in your house in his room. You know what I mean? That
Right.
reality did not exist 70 years ago or 60 years ago. This has totally changed. So the notion of home and everything that comes with it, and the protective environment that it's supposed to be, that is literally a dream. It no longer exists. So that made us a lot more prone to and sensitive to any kind of influences. Now the question is, what kind of influences are we swimming in, right? So there's no bubble that protects you from outside influences. You have no walls in your house when it comes to influences that shape your mind. Now, if you take a look at what are the kinds of influences that have been growing in parallel to this growth of violence, you start to see a frightening analysis, because again, there's great research on this. I don't remember the exact numbers. Maybe Chris can find it. But I think televisions, for example, again, to stick to that, they're showing like 800, 900, 1,000 violent acts per hour. Something like that is what you'd see on a typical hour of television today. And this statistics is, when I looked at it, this is coming from maybe 10 years ago. Today, everything is just growing and growing. By the time the average American reaches the age of 18, they will have seen 200,000 acts of violence, and maybe 20,000, like 10% of them are murders. So what does that do to us? I'm not saying that the moment you watch a violent movie, you go to kill someone. I'm not saying that. But you cannot argue with the fact that this is doing something to us, even subliminally. It is desensitizing us to some extent. It has to. You cannot be unaffected by it. The reason we think we're unaffected is because we're like a fish swimming in the water. Now, that's just television, okay? Let's think about, look at headlines. Look at what happens with the kind of culture. Look at how it ties to economics as well, and the kind of paradigm that we're in. Think about Twitter. Twitter didn't exist. When did Twitter came to be? 10 years ago? 10 years ago? Something like that?
The iPhone is 10 years, so it's maybe less.
So it's even less, right?
Usually
I
that'd be
think
probably
I
less.
think Facebook is 2008 maybe. Anyway, all of these things are super new, and what they've done, as among many other things, is they shortened our attention span, right? Because we've discovered that it's very easy to get people addicted to a certain thing like Twitter, because it's based on short messages. It forces you to be short, not to spend time and effort and focus and availability into going deeply into something. So everything is being quick and fast. And now what happens is that because you've broken because we've reduced our attention spans to something that is very short, now it's competing. The competition for our attention has to be more fierce. So headlines and tweets and everything, it has to become more clickbaity, more punchy, right? If you're a journalist today who's writing an article, there's substance, which is what your article is actually about, and how much truth or a new perspective or an important analysis, substantial analysis, it actually carries. This is your substance. But what's more important is how many clicks it gets.
Okay, hold on. So I want to
Right.
make a distinction here.
Okay.
I want to make a distinction here.
Yeah. I don't stop me, please, because I can go on and on here.
I want to make a distinction within humanity. within human, let's just, even though there's, we could say there's maybe even 4 gradations of it, but let's just make one split between humanity. Let's put 99% of the people, I don't know, whatever it is. On one side is everyone who's being led like that, right? Which includes all of us, which includes 100% of everybody, because everyone falls under that. But then there's also another part of humanity also, and that small part will pay, will sacrifice time, will sacrifice their lives looking for meaning, right? Like like
Mm.
there's the old story of like looking for that sage on a mountaintop or in a cave somewhere. You'll hike for like a month to find them, and then sit there, and what is your instant gratification there? There's none, right? So you have most of the population is dealing with that, and then there is this thing on the other side though of people who will who it's like the opposite. It's like they want to just sit and learn and open it and go deeper and take more time and explore. I guess it's like, like porno versus like the love of your grandparents or something like that, who just sit together at the table in the kitchen and just talk to each other for hours and read the newspaper together for hours. It's like one is like, quick gratification, and the other is this like decades long development. So
Yes. I think that's a very important observation. You're connecting, what is happening. You're starting to make connections between what's happening today and how people snap, and the fact that it has something to do with our culture of instant gratification. There's something to do with that. Yes, absolutely, I think. Because what is restraining your urges? It has a lot to do with the ability to delay gratification. And something that our culture does is it doesn't help us train that muscle of
how can it
delaying
be?
gratification. Yeah.
How can it be that like, if I shoot them, I will spend my life in jail, but I still can't control myself. Like, even I think the thoughts that,
Right.
okay, the consequences are going to be really bad, but I need the gratification so bad right now. My
Yeah.
pride, my emptiness needs to be filled so bad right now that I'm willing to kill these people, even if I can, and I'm willing to go to jail. But I
Okay.
just feel so empty right now. I need that. Killing them makes me feel like I just need to to release.
Okay. I want to give another perspective that that explains exactly why this is happening. But this is a little bit uh, it's a daring perspective, right? And people who are who are listening to this might not agree at all with what I'm going to say. But consider this. What if every one of us, given that we had no social programming, no social mechanisms of socializations, no values, no we judge what is good and bad and what we should do and shouldn't do based on where we are right now. But what if we stripped ourselves from all the influences of culture, and we're just left with our core nature, our core beastly animalistic nature? What if judging that only, that's the immediate automatic thing for us to do? Meaning, I'll just be better off, wiping out anyone who bothers me. You know what I mean? What if the reason that you're not going out there and being hostile and belligerent and violent even towards other people is only because there is all of these circumstances and perceived outcomes of these deeds that you might do that is preventing you from from doing that. You see,
Oh, of course, of course. If there was no consequences, if there
right?
was no shame and no
Yep.
consequences and
Yes.
nobody knew about it,
Exactly.
you would go into the street and take what you want from whoever you want whenever you want it. It's not like we're so noble. The
At
reason
the
why
account of,
everybody's not
yeah,
the reason
even
why
in.
everyone's not raping each other and taking each other
Mhm.
whatever is just because it's too much shame or too many consequences.
Okay, well,
But here's hold on,
this
hold on.
idea.
So
Wait, but what you just said, this idea that we're talking about so easily, so is not something that is clear.
as I'm
Clear.
saying it, I felt that
Yeah,
most that people are saying I wouldn't do that, but I already felt that in the air when I
yeah.
said it. But so it's important to say that um, on the one hand, we have good education. I mean, we don't have good education. In fact, something very, very terrible is happening in our education system. But on the one hand, we have education. And on the other hand, these kind of things, like what you opened up the show with this police officer
Hmm.
and his marriage counselor wife, and this thing about neighbors shooting each other over snow shoveling, these things are probably going to become more and more common because the
Hmm.
thing we're talking about here is that such an emptiness that a person feels that he's been fed through education just compete. What does a person learn in school now? Compete. How to make money, basically. That's it. And
So are you're saying um, our goals, our life goals as human beings are not such that that require us to strive to be good to each other. They're opposite. The way society indoctrinates us is that in order to be happy in life, in order to be successful in life, you need to go out there and be the winner in a cutthroat mentality, in a dog eat dog world, and that's life. And so if you're a human being, you want to be happy, you want to be successful, you need to go out there and compete with the others, and you'll win and they'll lose. That will make you happy. And because this is a characteristic of a lot of life goals that people have, more or less aware of it, we don't put thinking and efforts and education and our culture and everything else that we do is not aimed at how to make ourselves uh, um, more connected to each other, more
so
empath. Yeah, go ahead.
So what does COVID have to do with any of this? So what's happening is we're being really a mirror is being held up to us, and all of these gratifications are being removed from us, right? We used to be able to before go to the bar. We used to be able to go to a
Mm,
football game. We used to be able to go on vacation. We used to be able to go to work, even if we hated it. We used to be able to do something. That we had all of these mechanisms that kind of kept our animal inside of us. Remember, we evolved from animals. We were animals for a very, 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 very long time. We have all these primal urges inside of us, and we
yeah.
used to be able to use very clever means, retail therapy. You go and you buy a new phone.
Hmm.
Ah, you go and you see a new movie.
Hmm.
You go get a hamburger and a soda. There's so many things available to us to calm us down and keep it. They do a very good job of keeping us like between empty and just satisfying us, like all the marketing and the business and everything. They keep us very much
Yeah.
right in
Well,
that spot there.
well,
So
that's a whole
in the
thing,
past,
and yeah, okay. Well, I mean,
not
that's
to
a
get
whole,
into it, not to get
yeah,
into it, but
that's a whole other tangent as well. Because
so now,
these things that give you instant gratification, they they calm you in the short term, but they only distract you. They, in many cases, distract you from a hole that you have inside that keeps growing even while you're being instantly
But it was
gratified.
working in a
So
certain sense. The distractions were working to a certain sense, even though most people, a lot of depression and whatever, in a sense, the society, well, anyway.
well, that's why they can distract. Yeah, weapons of mass distraction. That's it. They work as distraction
When,
again.
what is
Until
Chris
the
putting up
yeah,
here? When the
when the
game
game
takes a
takes.
while to load and you think about your life for a few
Ah,
seconds.
nice,
Do you see? I mean,
nice,
think about
nice.
that. How
See,
many?
that's
How many?
why. That's a good Chris moment there. Chris, that's
It's
a
like
hit the
it's like
spot
most
exactly.
people
Yeah.
go to the bathroom with their phone now, or like when you walk from your car to the inside the building, you look at your phone.
Yes.
Like you don't want to be 1 second. You put the phone on, you put something on in your phone when you're in the shower.
Yeah.
You just we can't be left alone for a second. So here comes
Yeah.
COVID, and it starts to remove all of those things from us. It starts to take away the bar, the sporting events, uh, the
Yeah.
going out to get the hamburger, all these things. And so we're left with this bouncing off of the walls now, and we don't have education. It is a joke. The education system is an all out, complete and total failure and a joke. It is terrible.
Yeah.
It is a disaster. It is not raising human beings. It's raising exactly what we see in the
When you
world
talk about the
today.
education system, you mean the education system, public education,
All of it,
that
pretty
just
much all of it,
like from
all of
from
it.
the age of 0
Well,
to the
tell
age
me
of
one
18. Yeah.
country where tell me one country where people feed each other, take care of each other, help each other. The whole world is a mess. Okay, you
Yeah.
can find one little example here or show me one good organization there. I don't care. It's irrelevant. It's nothing. It's nothing. The whole thing is broken. It's broken. So we need really the first thing for all of the problems we can think about, for all of the problems that there are, some kind of real education of understanding who am I? What
Yeah.
forces are operating inside of me?
Yes.
What world am I living in? What forces are operating in this world? How do we achieve some kind of happiness or some kind of fulfillment?
Yeah. There.
Go ahead.
No. There's it.
Okay,
It.
David.
it
Okay, go. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I agree completely. I think it's kind of like the vaccination I was talking about, like that we need to prevent violence. We can't fight violence. You know what I mean? Violence is a result, it's an outcome, it's something that already happened. If what can you do with violence? Nothing. When there's violence, you're gonna have to need some other violent intervention to stop the person who's committing the violence. It's violence. If violence reaches your, happens on your streets, the problem didn't start there. You know what I mean? And if violence happens between neighbors today and normative people and spouses, and it came into your home, that means that tells a story. If it's growing, like if it's spreading like a virus in our culture, that tells the story of a culture in decline. That's the at the end of the day, from a big broad sociological perspective, that's what you're seeing. And I think it has a lot to do with this snowball effect that is comprised of the elements that we were talking about. We talked about this culture of instant gratification. That's a part of it, because again, when you don't know how to deal with delaying gratification, you can be more prone to violence. There's research about that as well. There's social psychology on this. There's psychology on this. It's one of the predictors. So the culture that pushes and trains us for instant gratification and doesn't help us do the opposite helps. The other thing is that we are being continuously and increasingly desensitized to gore and violence, right? So just like we talked about the headlines, how headlines, in order to be clicked today, they have to be punchier, they have to
But
be more
why? But why?
because otherwise they don't survive in this economic world.
Okay.
They don't survive.
Survive. What does that mean?
Someone
What does that
has to.
mean?
They
Hold on.
have to
Hold
be
on.
clicked. They have to be
Hold
clicked
on.
because someone has to
The
make
goal,
money.
that's
Very
right.
very
Okay.
simple.
Right.
Yeah.
So
At
the
the end of the
goal
day,
is they wake up in the morning, and because of the education they received, the goal is to make money for
not
whatever, or
just
to
the
be.
education. The I mean, not just the depends what we call education. Not just the education they received, but also the continuous competitive cutthroat world they're in. If you are this competition, that is, I'm not against
Hold on.
competition in general. Competition can be a great thing if we're competing for the right things in the right conditions. What is happening today is that when you make a title today, if you want to win, meaning you want to be clicked, you have to compete for my attention, and you're going to have to be to try to trigger my survival instincts and my primal instincts, which means to be more shocking, more intense. And that in turn, and then there's a snowball effect. There's a sociological snowball effect, because content producers, headline makers, writers, Hollywood, YouTubers, they all have to put in front of our faces more violence, more sex, more intense, more shocking. Everything has to be faster, more explosive in front of our eyes, because we are becoming increasingly indifferent to whatever it is that's being shown to us. Look at movies from the 50s, 60s. Look at movies today. Look at ads. Look at the level of sexuality. Look at what's happening in TikTok today. Children are exposed to, the average age of exposure to porn today, I believe, is 10. That's insane. Hardcore porn, not like the stuff that was on top shelf magazines when your parents were trying, being naughty kids. This is insane what's happening, and we feel it as normal. This is what's crazy. The psychological the threshold of sensitivity is going up. We are becoming
So
more desensitized, and normal becomes something new. Suddenly, normalcy is three women every day being murdered by their partners. Suddenly, yeah, it happens. It happens. People fought over
yesterday,
shoveling snow. They
yesterday,
killed each other. What can you do?
my kids are schooling from home, but yesterday there was a bomb threat at my younger son's school for the kids who are at school.
Yeah, that's
And yeah,
frightening.
unbelievable.
Frightening
And
as
I
hell.
sent an email out. I forwarded the email I got from the school to a few people, just to, like, look at what's going on here. And one of them wrote back, "Oh, I remember when I was a kid, we also had bomb threats. And oh yeah, my spouse also said they had bomb threats." And it's like you just said, it's like, there's always
Yeah,
bomb
okay.
threats at
Bomb threats.
schools.
Bomb
There's
threats is cool.
always
Yeah,
bomb threats
yeah.
at schools.
Yeah, that's what. But if you, again, if you, this is the thing. If you look at a broad perspective, look at the last 60, 70 years. Look at the influence. Look at what's
I keep getting
happened.
annoyed when you hold on. I keep getting really annoyed when you do this, because nothing was so great 50 or 60 years ago.
I'm
But
not
you
saying
keep,
anything was great. No, thank
because you
you.
keep going, oh, hearkening back to the
No,
good
I'm not
old
saying things
days
were
when the
great.
porno was only on the top shelf instead of in
No,
my
no, 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 no.
phone.
I'm not saying anything was great. There were things that were worse, and now they are better also. And violence existed, domestic violence existed. There were other norms that were problematic. I'm
Okay, I was just kept
I,
pushing my buttons when you
no,
kept
no,
harkening back
that's
to the good old days.
good. So I'll clarify what I mean. I don't mean that the 50s and 60s were great. Not at all. All I'm saying is what has happened in the last 70 years is a change in our culture that uh, um, that has boosted or amplified, intensified a few things. The instant gratification culture, that became more of a thing than it was. People today can read, they can read much less. They need to be more stimulated. They have to be, why, how is ADHD a growing trend? Explain that to me. How is that possible that you have many more children today developing ADHD? What has happened? What has happened? Clearly, there is a cultural component to it. So all I'm talking about is what has happened to the culture in the last 70 years, and that's a big change. That's a huge change, and you can also see some numbers that be, that begin to correlate what has happened to the culture and the violent acts that you're seeing as a result. I'm not saying that the
But
50s or 60s were great. That's not what I'm
okay,
saying.
good. Um, uh, Slightly Slanted Sleuth wrote something all the way at the top of the show about, we don't really talk about the great things that happen in life. We're talking about the horrible things.
Hmm.
There is something to be said here about that, and that is that we're developing along this plus and minus, and by actually Asaf and I are putting on a good performance for you, but we're not really so frightened by everything we see that's going on. It would be much, much better if we could move through this with good education, and that is like our mission is to get that out there. But everything we see, we expect. All of these news stories, we expect them, and we expect it to get worse, and we expect it to get even worse than that, and we're not happy about that. It There's an incredible opportunity before us. The reason why we use all of these kind of negative things, these stories as a reference, is to well, I mean, there's no sound and then there's music. What makes music feel the way it does is all of the spaces in between the sounds and how the sounds hit you. So it is through all of these kind of negative things that we even have a sensation of life and can calibrate where we are in the scheme of it. Otherwise, we would just be senseless dust flying through the air. So all of these, what do you call it, stuff?
Like a
The up and
sine
down,
wave, like a sine
like
wave, up and down, going up and down, oscillation.
yeah,
What's the word
yeah.
you're looking
So
for?
we're
Yeah.
one day we'll start to get into talking about the middle line and what that even means. But right now we're there. There is this very much minus and plus, which develops everything. Chris, do you have that clip? Can you show it now?
What is it? The feral thing?
This is yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah, yeah.
remember how what it's
It's really
related to.
dramatic, huh?
I don't remember why we wanted to
Watch.
show why
Okay,
do we want to show
you'll see
this?
in a second. Is it full screen?
Right. Yeah. So this is a little
Okay.
hard to watch. So this is someone who is not acting.
They actually know this is
It's
after they already kind of tried to domesticate it. She's wearing clothes now. When they found her, she was
yes.
not wearing, she was not dressed or anything. So she was raised. This girl's in Ukraine. There's lots of videos you can find of kids that this happened to.
Yeah.
So this
Okay. I think
person
we got
articles
it. I
kind of
think we got it. Yeah.
okay. So the
Let's
point
say
is
it
is
again.
that
Yeah.
yeah, that's really hard to watch.
Yeah.
The point is that we are a product of now there is something to be said for uh
The
what do they
point
call it,
is
nurture
culture
and nature.
culture
Yeah,
is extremely important when it comes to what you want out of a human being.
you can make a person
Culture,
into a dog
environment,
by
yes.
the culture, and you
And
can also make a great world through culture.
and so all I was saying with the 50s versus today is look at what the kind of acts that you have today, the kind of people that you have today, the kind of situations that you hear about in the news, people killing each other over shoveling snow, cop and marriage counselor with 4 kids in the house, the husband shoots the wife. When you see these cases spreading, then you gotta think about the culture as well. And if you see what happened to the culture in the last 70 years, you've got some things you can clearly see and say, okay, we may have created some problematic conditions for us to create the opposite, balancing, positive effect on the human being. If we recognize that we're products of environment, that we're products of culture, that we're so malleable, and that the influences that we come across shape our behavior, our thought, and our actions ultimately, then it's very critical what is happening to us. Now, the So I was I cutting you off in the middle of something?
No, no,
Because
no. Go ahead.
okay, I want to say this. I think that some people may listen to us and at least what we've been talking about in the last half an hour or so, and might it might sound like I'm talking about like preaching. Okay, let's preach love and some moral values and connection. But I think it's important to stress that this has to go deeper than that. It's not a bad idea to do some campaigns that to promote empathy and human connection, but it's not gonna work with just preaching moral values. We're dealing with human nature here, with this ego of the human being that requires an actual balancing force. um, the social our society needs to be built in such a way that as a human being I'm constantly getting this balancing positive effect. We don't just need to be preaching love. People need to actually feel loved. I understand that now I sound
No, no, I love
like a
this.
hippie,
You
like
now,
a
now
hippie a
you're already
little bit.
changing my mood.
You
You're already
have to,
changing my mood.
okay, what is, if you look at how kids grow, even, right? Well, I'll make this point quickly, we don't have a lot of time, but we know it. So again, uh, psychology knows this for a long time. This is well documented, uh, that the more threatened you are, the more hostility you feel from others, the more hostile you become. You start, and even the lonelier, look, maybe Chris, maybe you can find something on this too. The lonelier you become, even not hostility, just by being lonely, if you start feeling lonely in your life, you start assuming the worst about other people's intentions towards you. Again, this is well documented, which means the more we create a culture and we create a society where people feel that they have to be in a survival mode all the time, that they have to compete, that society does not care for them, and that they become more isolated from each other. They feel lonely, disconnected from some community that they care of. And when even the home, that one protected and connected environment that you're supposed to have, when even that is starting to crumble, is starting to dissolve, and you're left with just the modern person who has a lot of technology but is much lonelier and feels more threatened than a person in the past, let's say, then what you get as a result is more violence. You get people who are more prone to violence. And so we need people to actually feel like they're in a caring
People who
environment.
feel loved don't shoot people.
Exactly. We need to actually, this is where I'm not saying we should yell love to everyone. We should actually do it. That's what I'm saying. We should do love. We should make that actually happen. This needs to be in everywhere we go. This needs to be in
All the media, all the songs,
people
all
who are
the education,
people who
all
are
the
working
businesses.
together. They need to learn how to work with each other. When you mentioned the education system. Public education is an invention from what, 200 years ago? Maybe I'm not accurate.
Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, exactly. Because the whole purpose of it is to make workers, not people. Definitely not connected people. The purpose of why your kid is in a school is so they can become a worker. That's it. So you can't wonder why, with all of the cultural influences, school becomes a place for bullying and sexual abuse and drug abuse and violence, and it's and they don't come out of it knowing how to communicate with each other, how to be empathetic human beings, how to be sensitive to their own needs, the needs of others, how to understand my own human nature. No one teaches me that. Human connection. So of course you can't grow people who will then practice human connection, and they go into, in short, okay, it's, I don't want to go negative here, but as negative as the reality can be, the what we need to do opposite that is we need to create a loving environment. Loving environment. People need to feel warmth and care and concern. And we can do that because just like it's just about, changing the direction of where we're going. We all want that. We all want to feel connected. That's the biggest paradox, that as human beings, we're so wired to connect. We need that. Our body needs that. Our body feels a craving for connection. This is, again, well documented. So we need to just implement it. We need to change our direction. I don't know, man. I'm getting.
I always want to just spend the entire show with the with like the take home message. Like, okay, what do we do? How do we do it?
We have to infuse our society with human connection. We need connection. That is the cure. It's the cure. It's literally the vaccination. It is the remedy. It is, if you feel connected to people, you will be more able to control your urges. You will be able to be more empathetic. You will be able to be smarter in social situations. End of story. We're just not working on it, and everything's working the other way around.
So everybody out there, hold on. We're going to do it. It's happening. We're going to go through a lot more transition in the next few years. But things are going to, and the reason is so that we can come to this. We can shed all of these old broken systems, and we'll get into it more. Anyway, be confident, help each other, take care of each other. We'll see you Thursday.
And if you want to connect to a connecting environment, then subscribe to this channel and come to this show on Sunday. Yeah. What?
There's people connecting in different places, which is good. But just because we're watching the chat,
I'll mention that.
So put up the thing for.
I'll put in the thing. Yes. If you want to make sure that we see you. Okay. If you want to make sure that we see you on the chat, and if you want to, can you see this now? Now. Okay. If you want to make sure that we see you on the chat, and if you want to make sure that you don't miss any show or clip that we post throughout the week, then this is the place to go on the screen right now. Anyway, we will be here on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I hear your phone, but I hope to hear a song.
Oh, that's not on purpose. Yeah, sorry about that.
They aren't just houses. They're much more than shiny cars. Please don't call them objects.
No.
At AAA, we recognize your most valuable assets.
Technical issues.
That's the Springsteen ad that you wanted, the Super Bowl ad that you.
That was a whole other part of the show that we didn't get to. That was.
Are more than just
Are you
things.
still hearing my screen?
Their first cars fueled by sweat. Dream homes built by double shifts.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, hold on. Here comes the song.
Unpredictable entertainment.
3, 2. Gotta get.
We can just hear that insurance ad. It's not bad. There's some melody there. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for inspiring the chat with a lot of love and connection. We see that. We feel that. Thank you for being with us.
Oh boy, what a mess.
I heard something now. I think I can overcome. Okay.
You got it?
Yes, we got it. Yeah. Bye, everybody.
It's the story about one man in a master play. You know it's a rule. Seeking out my friends with the same goal. Reunite the pieces of the same soul, so one big soul. ocean, space, and time. I wanna cut the key just right. I fought and I cried. My well is running dry. My life is on the line. If I had what to give and I knew who to give it to, I would change my ways if I only knew.